back out to the one-turn mile. I think he's going to be a pace presence on the front end and perhaps take the catch me if you can approach.
Yeah, he was beating the neck at this distance over at Gulfstream Park on October 23rd. As you mentioned, stretching out. He stalked last time out. He finished fourth against Similar. That was going three-quarters. I think with the stretch out, he'll be right there. Marcus Vitale is the trainer. And you mentioned the rider, Edgard Zayas.
We'll take a look at another horse in here, the 5 Give to UK Cats. And this is a first-time starter for trainer Joe Sharp. And with maiden claimer, first-time starters, the barn is about only 1 for 8, but it's actually a positive ROI of over $4. So it's kind of a tricky horse to take on top, but you definitely want to take a look at him in the paddock, obviously in the first leg of the pick 5 or even in the rolling super high 5. The barn has been doing well here as of late. And speaking of barns that have been doing well, especially with their 2-year-olds, Todd Pletcher, the 10 Big Paul. I threw this horse off the ticket a little bit apprehensively. Last race, though, against Maiden Special Weight Company just kind of put a damper, in my opinion.
Well, he's now gelding. So they went and they gelded the horse. He's dropping to the $35,000 level after showing, not showing very much in a pair, as you mentioned, of Maiden Special Weight races up north. But Todd Pletcher, I want to show you a stat right here. He's 5 for 18. 28% this year with horses switching from Belmont, then coming to Gulfstream Park. So last year, you know, he does good with all these different sets. Just something I would throw out. I think the drop, I think the first time gelding, tough leaving this horse off the ticket. I'm not enamored with him, but I had to use him on my early pick 5 ticket.
That's a kind of horse where you really don't want to pick on top, but you can't leave him off of the pick 5 because he very well could show up and as being first-time gelding and throw you out of the first leg of the sequence. We don't want that. So a very tricky race to kick off the sequence, but we'll move on to the second race on the card, a $16,000 conditional claimer going out to the turf course at 1 mile and 16th. And the one Who's That Chick I thought was interesting last time out was reined off the turf, had to run on the main track, but still held on to be a good second behind Reckless Move. But you go back to the turf performances, and this filly's getting a big drop in class from this $30,000 condition, even a other than a company.
Yeah, he's returning to the turf, as you mentioned. I should say she is returning to turf after responding last time to the drop of competition. Went up duel for the lead, finished second against 16 condition claimers, going 1 mile into 16th. That was that wet track. It was listed as good. Antonio Sano, Luis Saez handling the inside post this afternoon. But the morning line favorite in here, we both have in second, and that is Julissa.
Yeah, Julissa here for trainer Joe Sharp, as we were just mentioning just a while ago. The barn's been doing very well, especially with some of these horses that have been coming from Kentucky, dropping in class, and this is exactly what this filly is doing. She's taken a big drop in class from starter $50,000 company at Keeneland and Churchill, even Saratoga, the $35,000 condition, non-winners of 3 when they actually claim this horse. So again, I think it kind of looks like a give-up proposition. They're just dropping her to the $16,000 tag, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to lose.
Well, I like a horse in here that's 20-1. And I used this horse on my ticket, too, on my early pick 5 ticket. And that is the 8-4 Etiquette. I believe it's 20-1 on the morning line. I'll tell you why. 6 for 11 in the money over this Gulfstream Park turf course, making a local return after stalking the pace, finishing 5th. It was against $14,000 claimers going 1 mile on the turf. Patricia Farrow, apprentice Vincente Guidel in the saddle. I'm going with the old horse for course angle in here. That this horse maybe not win it, certainly could be on the rolling super high 5 ticket.
I also used the 2 Miss Sweetness in the mix here, and she has been capable of closing from off the pace. If you look at the races that she was running against back in 2014, she has lightly raced in the past year, but she was very competitive against Allowance Optional Claiming Company. Now, today, it'll technically be her 3rd start off that hefty layoff since October of 2014, so maybe she could fire her best today.
Another horse that's a pretty nice odds, 12-1, that you want to use somewhere on your ticket, as we mentioned at the top of the show. Not an easy races today, and those horses, 21 shot, have just as much a chance to win it as a 5-2 shot.
Absolutely, sometimes even more so a chance. The race 3 here, we're coming up next, going to the turf course at the 5 furlong distance, the Windley Key Stakes, and this actually turned out to be a very, very nice stakes as well. We have the likes of Jewel of a Cat, even Silver Sachet, fresh off a win on Claiming Crown Day. I go in a completely opposite direction here with the 5 Equina, but you actually land on the favorite, Jewel of a Cat, who is really no slouch, a very talented turf mare.
Yeah, she shipped in from Gulfstream Park West last year and proceeded to win the $75,000 ladies turf sprint. She's going to try and repeat that success this afternoon after winning the $100,000 Millions Turf Preview across town against the boys last time out. So she's coming in. She did similar last year, coming in from Gulfstream Park West off a good performance. And I just think that off that, she's the one to beat in the spot. But I want to hear about the 5-horse. And I know we have some video we want to show. Did not use this one on my ticket.
Yeah, we'll go back to earlier this year, kind of in the spring when she was in really good form. She was at that point running against Stakes Company here at Gulfstream in the Sunset Stakes, going the 5 furlongs. And she really did get a pretty good setup in this event. We saw kind of the 2 pace setters go out in front of her. She stalked behind the pace. And she almost, unfortunately, made the lead a little bit too early because those pace setters kind of faltered in front of her. But I like the fact that she really held sway and she dug in gamely. Now, that was actually the last time she was here at Gulfstream, so she kind of does like this course. She's 4 for 4 in the money here on the Gulfstream Park lawn. Last time out, it was a negative performance. Obviously, she was well beaten at odds of 3 to 1, but she is capable of running big races, and I think the race will essentially set up for her because you have the speed of Silver Sachet, you have the speed of Jewel of a Cat. There are going to be probably 1-2 around the track, and Aquina could just probably just sit in the catbird seat and go from there.
And the horse I used too on here was the 4 Tessalina, is debuting locally for trainer Wesley Ward after rallying to finish second. It was a $50,000 overnight stake. That was going 5.5 furlongs. It was at the fairgrounds on their turf course. And Wesley Ward has Jose Valdivia Jr. named to ride this daughter of Fuzaichi Pegasus. This jockey in to ride this horse today. And, Wesley Ward, if you learned anything in South Florida, never leave Wesley Ward out of a 5 furlong turf sprint here. So I threw this one on my ticket.
That's a good one, too. The 3 Silver Sachet. I was actually impressed by her performance on the main track last time out on Claiming Crown Day. And I went against her, transitioning her form from the turf to the main track, but she really was a really impressive winner that day. And I'm thinking outside of that she had to win that race off the turf. Obviously, the connections are probably training her for a turf sprint. So I had to win that off of on the off track and off of a layoff since July. So I'm thinking that she could even step forward off of that last race.
Yeah, she's going to try and make it 5 in a row, and there's little doubt of what her running tactics is going to be. She's going to go and play catch me if you can, and if they don't, I would not be shocked at all if she won the race.
Okay, we'll move on to race 4. Nice maiden special weight here for 2-year-old fillies going a 1-turn mile on the main track. And we have the likes of the 9 Awesome Dame in here, and this is your single in the early pick 5. And I couldn't really go against you with that because she is coming out of some really key races, including her race where she was second behind Rachel's Valentina, obviously a very talented 2-year-old filly, going on to face the likes of Songbird in the Breeders' Cup. So the 9 Awesome Dame, I believe we have a video replay of her most recent performance, though, and this was against Shayna Lady, and this was on October 25th here at Belmont, going 6 furlongs, and she was heavily bet in this event run. She's even money, obviously coming out of her second place finish behind Rachel's Valentina. She was heavily bet. And I like the fact that she kind of split horses at the top of the stretch, and she's digging in gamely here. And then the winner comes over on her a little bit, shuts off her path, and it just proceeds from there. She never really picks up the pieces from there, and the winner goes on to win there. Shayna Lady, I believe she was the second choice. However, I don't think, even though she was impeded mid-stretch, it was clear that she probably wasn't going to win the race.
That race, yeah. But I just liked the performance last time out. Now, I'm more enamored the way she ran the race before that. So I put her on top of my ticket in here. Did single her because I wanted to go deeper in the other ends. But I wouldn't be surprised if the horse that you have on top, number 4, Lotta Skirt, would win this race.
Well, it's key that Awesome Dame's coming out of better races, too. She's coming out of the strongest races, whereas a Lotta Skirt, although she's had some really good performances on the main track, she's coming out of probably a step or 2 lower in terms of class-wise. Now, in her debut performance, though, she sprinted 6 furlongs on the main track, and that was a very key race. We saw the winner go on to finish second in the Delta Princess, the second-place finisher go on to win next out, and even second in the Smart Halo against Stakes Company. There are tons of horses out of that first race that went on to win. Last time out, I thought she got kind of a late run at the top of the stretch, and I just think that if maybe she's a little bit more aggressive at the top of the stretch today, just is about a length or two off the pace, she perhaps could win this.
Yeah, ridden by Corey Lanning today, has been really riding well. I threw a Todd Pletcher horse in third. Cold Gray Dawn stretching out to this 8 furlong distance, stalked 5 wide, finished second. That was a 5.5 furlong career debut at Gulfstream Park West. Todd Pletcher is very good with horses. He's good with everything, going from stretching out in distance. He's up over 25%, of course. So I just thought this horse, I'd throw it on the ticket. Not crazy about it, once again, but I thought a horse that you got to use on your exact or a trifecta.
And one horse who could easily go overlooked is the 7 Tail for Ruby. She's coming off a layoff since early August, actually, but she gets Lasix for the first time, and she's another one who's coming out of that key race that also Awesome Dame is coming out of, but this is the first time that she's gotten a route of ground, and clearly it does look like she's going to be a pace factor. She showed speed sprinting against very talented fillies in debut, so perhaps she's going to go to the front too, and you could probably get a better price on her than Awesome Dame, but she's looking to perhaps turn the tables with added distance off the layoff. But with that said, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6. We have a carryover just over $20,000 up next. Welcome back to Gulfstream today. Gabby Gaudet alongside Ron Nicoletti, and we're talking about the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6. It does start in today's 5th race, and we do have a carryover of just over $20,000. We'll take a look at my ticket, the sequence as a whole, and once again, the late pick 5 and the pick 6, they're two very tough sequences. We have a couple of scratches, which I think helps slightly, but still very tough. Using 4 horses in the first leg, 3 in the next 2, races 6 and 7, using 2 horses in both races 8 and 10. I was thinking about singling in the last, but wasn't bold enough. And looking at race 9, going to be using 3 horses in there as well. So we'll talk about the sequence here. Race 5 does start us off. $16,000 non-winners, a 2 lifetime condition going out to the turf course at 7.5 furlongs. And no surprise, we don't really agree here.
Well, we sort of agree. We sort of agree. I have the three of the 4 horses you used on your Rainbow Six ticket. I have on my ticket.
And there's one race I think later today that we are in complete disagreement here. But at least we both have the 8 One-Eyed Ray and the 11 Highland Warrior. You're looking to beat the favorite in here with the 11.
Well, Highland Warrior is dropping into the $16,000 2 lifetime claim after facing local stakes caliber competition. I thought during his summer-fall campaign, both here and at Gulfstream Park West. Antonio Sano, there's a jockey change. Larry Comas will be updating all that. Luis Saez will be riding number 11. Highland Warrior, One-Eyed Ray, definitely the one to beat in here, but I'm going to try and do it. I like the connection. I like the way the company this horse was keeping, but during this summer, as I mentioned, and fall, both here and across town.
We'll take a look at the 8 One-Eye Ray. He is the 2-1 favorite here for trainer Michael Maker, and we'll take a look at this horse's most recent performance coming down the stretch. As you can see, a lot of the time I like to show these replays and let you or the public, whoever's watching this, take it with a grain of salt and just you make your own conclusion or decision of this replay. This horse is facing allowance company, restricted allowance company last time out, and he looks like he's making a bit of a run and then just completely gets squeezed back. And then also here, almost doesn't really get encouraged to finish strongly. So it was kind of an odd finish there last time out. And obviously with the drop in class to the $16,000 condition, this is going to make this horse extremely tough. Javier Castellano gets the mount as well today.
Yeah, I mean, someone that you have on your Rainbow Six ticket, someone you need to use. I used the one to Quest the Storm, one of the horses that you added on your ticket, who's stepping up to the next logical level and breaking from the rail again. Led every step of the way to defeat $20,000 maidens going a mile on the Gulfstream Park West turf. And I've been saying this throughout the last couple of weeks. Across town, speed was not the thing of choice that you wanted on that turf course over there. Very few horses, and just towards the end of the meet, it got better, but it was mostly for stalkers and closers. Michelle Nihei has Luca Panici going for 2 in a row. I think off that performance, a horse, I'm glad you put it on your ticket.
I really do like this horse as well. The 5 Diamonds in Gold is kind of my long shot flyer in here. He has been compromised by unfortunate trips a couple of times, minus his last start there, 2 starts back, and even his 3rd start back at Indiana Grand. He was really impeded and I thought affected. And you look at the claiming the 15,000 non-winners at 2 lifetime condition that he was running against. He was 3 to 1 there, 5 to 1 there, so he was actually respected by the public. And today you're getting 20 to 1 on him.
And that's a great price, and that's the type of horse you get that, and you're off and running with your Rainbow Six ticket.
Let's hope so. Speaking of Rainbow Six, and speaking of the late pick 5 as well, race 6, moving on to this allowance optional claiming event, 6 furlongs on the main track, and I believe you have a late pick 5 ticket.
We do, and this is where we go off the rails. We don't agree on a lot of these races here, but that's how competitive they are. You see them going only 2 deep here with the 6 and 11. You see the progression going down, and in the last race, I know you wanted to single the 1 along with me, I believe, in that last race. A first-time starter from a barn named Malcolm Pierce that does incredible with first-time starters on the turf, but couldn't do it there. You see my ticket, $54. I think this is a really tough sequence.
And looking at the first race to kick us off, I landed on the 4 Mitos and Leyendas here. You look at this horse's past performances last time out, did face similar condition last time and was just beaten narrowly, just 2 lengths in that event. But he was unfortunately matched on the front end, and he had a duel for that lead position. Today, I'm kind of trying to search for another horse that's equally as fast, and I couldn't really find one. So I'm thinking if Luis Saez now today aboard him, gets a little bit of aggressive, perhaps he can go to the front end, and at least he kind of draws that inward post position, and he could have the tactical advantage.
Yeah, and speed was pretty good on the main track yesterday, so we'll see if that holds again today. But I did, as I mentioned, go with the 6 in here, Royal Knowledge, and this one moved to the George Navarro barn, Vita Claim, turns back to 3/4 of a mile after drawing clear to defeat 12-5. Condition claim is going 7/8 of a mile, and we respect the connections here. Turning back to 3/4 of a mile, I thought this was a logical horse. I don't know, he's 3rd choice on the morning line.
It will be tough, especially the barn. Indeed, the 11 Never Give In. This is a horse you have to use in the sequence. I just think that he put in such a game performance last time out, and he's always very consistent, just shy of getting a win against this company, but he very well could do it today. Was just narrowly defeated at 5-1 last time out under Paco Lopez.
Yeah, reunites Kathleen O'Connell, the trainer, and a good performance, as you mentioned, last time out.
We'll move on to the 7th race on the card, a maiden $35,000 event. And I thought this race was kind of tricky because we have the 10 I'm No Secret, who's 5-2 on the morning line, who very well could be vulnerable, but he is dropping in class from Maiden Special Weight Company. And we have the 11 Fairy Tale Finish, a 2nd-time starter for Joe Sharp, also dropping in class. Those are the 2 that really do make sense in here. But the 2 Who's the Mark, this is going to be my top selection, shopping for a little bit of a price for Anthony Pecoraro. We'll take a look at a statistic that I did find on the barn over the course of the past 2 years. Dirt to turf sprint distances, 5 out of 20, so 25%, but finishes in the money 50% of the time, and it's a positive ROI of $3.37. And again, 5 furlong sprints. Even though this horse isn't probably regally bred for the turf, but he always pulls it off somehow, and I've kind of followed Anthony Pecoraro, especially in Maryland, with his turf sprinters first time, and they always seem to show up.
Yeah, and I got him on the ticket for all the reasons you mentioned here. We basically have a trifecta just boxed around. I went with the 10 on top, and you mentioned I'm No Secret is the logical choice, dropping to the $35,000 level, cutting back to 5/8 on the grass, showed some early interest, faded to finish last, but that was against $75,000 maidens, and that was going a mile in a race moved to the main track. You know the connections of Mike Mecker, Javier Castellano, logical choice, but he is a little vulnerable. So I'm sort of in agreement with you here, but I'm going to box him up.
There's only one other horse in here, the 6 Very Tricky, that I thought was interesting. By Hat Trick out of a City Zip mare. The mare was actually stakes place turfed sprinter, so the breeding is there. And again, this could be a 15-1 shot flyer that you want to use if you have the funds to do so.
Written today by Jersey Joe Bravo.
Yes, we'll move on to the 8th race, 7 furlongs on the main track for this open 6250 claimer. Scratch the 4 trier in here. And this is the race that I was alluding to earlier today. We are in complete and total disagreement.
Yeah, Gabby said to me earlier before we went on there, who do you like in this race? I said the 10. She said, I got the 9. Who you got in second? We were totally wrong on all of them. I'll start with the 10, Capital City, move to the Donna Green Bond V to claim, turning back to 7/8 of a mile. What I like about this horse, 6 races at the distance with 2 wins at 7 furlongs. And if you peruse through these past performances, not a lot of horses have run well at the 7 furlong distance. This one dueled throughout, finished second, beaten Atlanta against similar. That was going a 2-turn mile across down at Gulfstream Park West. Paco Lopez in the saddle. So I went with the 7 furlong angle in here.
Well, we've got 6 horses listed up there, and there's about 14 horses in the race. So hopefully we have one of them on either of our ticket. The 9 Go Do Go is the horse I'll choose. And these are the cool races that you get where you have to shop for a little bit of a price because you even actually the favorite in these kinds of races, if you do like them, they actually go off at a pretty decent price, 3 to 1, 4 to 1, so you still get value. That's what makes these races so fun to handicap. The 9 Go Do Go, I think is dropping. He's dropping from the open $10,000 condition last time out at Churchill, but even more so, his 6 furlong sprint at Keeneland, he faced starter allowance company Slana Wally, who was second on claiming Crown Day, finished just a couple of strides in front of him. Midnight Shine was the second place finisher. He's won back-to-back starter allowance races at Churchill too, so I'm handicapping him thinking that he's getting a slight drop in class.
Well, the horse I really liked in here, and I had to put him in third, was because of the outside post, and that's Brasa Siciliano. And this one is plunging to the $6,250 level, wearing blinkers, stalked big pack last time out, faded. It was against better. It was 2 turns on the grass, moved from 2 turns on the grass to 7 furlongs. The concern, the post 14, I looked it up. Only 1 winner so far from 4 or 5 starters, so tough to win out there. I like this horse, love him much more if he was inside.
Or maybe even some exotics if you still get a good price. The 2 Good News with a twist on the other side of the spectrum draws a good post, and Tyler Gaffleone does get the mount last time out, was beaten just a few lengths behind 1 for Dawn, but I like the fact that he made that late gain at 5.5 furlongs today, stretches out to the 7 furlongs, and I think should really put him in a good spot. We'll move on to the 9th race of first half of the late daily double, 7.5 furlongs on the turf for this really nice allowance optional claiming event. And again, this is a type of race where the 7 Sea Coast is a scratch and kind of a late minute scratch.
Late minute scratch, yeah.
That changes the whole structure of the race and the competition of the race. Really anybody could win now.
Yeah, I believe it's wide open affair in here. I scratched into the horse, the 6 horse, Gigi's Kitten, debuting locally after getting up in the final jump to defeat a pair of next out winners. It was an $80,000 optional claimer, going a mile in the 16th on the Aqueduct turf. It's Bill Mott. He's good with this type of freshening, about 20%. You mentioned Tyler Gaffleone. He'll be in the saddle today. So lots of things to like about Gigi's Kitten, but Seacoast sort of rocked us a little bit, getting a scratch a minute before we came on the air.
It did. It rocked the boat a little bit. The 5 Nisha Aurora is a horse that I kind of wanted to go back and take a look at the most recent replay. This was on the 10th of July at Monmouth, and it was actually on a good course. We're just taking a look from the quarter pole to the finish line, going the mile and a 16th. She was post 7 that day, and she had to close from off the pace. She was down on the inside, and it looked like she was a little bit apprehensive to go through the hole that was closing down on the inside rail. She had to, unfortunately, angle out to about the 4 or 5 path, and then when she finally does, she makes this really impressive late grinding run, and just the wire is there a little bit too soon. But I liked visually how she ran, and that race actually proved quite good. Vivi Goodnight, she's a legitimate horse, 2nd place finisher, went on to run in the Grade 3 Violet over the summer at Monmouth. So again, I'm going to throw her in the mix at probably double-digit odds, or you'll get on her.
Yeah, and another horse that I use, of course, from the Todd Pletcher bond, the 4-horse Alajalea. This one is a half to a Grade 2 stakes place horse. Cat Burglar cut him back in distance today after finishing 3rd. That was in the 62,500 optional claimer, going a mile in the 16th last out. And 3rd, that was 2 back, and 3rd in the, October 31st, 3rd in the Cellar Charade. So this horse has been keeping some pretty nice company. I mentioned the connection, Todd Pletcher, Javier Castellano in the saddle. I think one of these horses that, with the scratch of the number 7, certainly is going to be on the ticket.
And even the one Sawyer to the inside could have tactical advantage. She showed speed in the past, and now Paco Lopez back aboard. He was aboard for the 3-leg victory against Two Other Than Company last time out. And again, you look at the race, 2 starts back, and she was completely hindered by an unfortunate trip that day, but she rebounds. She's good at this track, 5 for 5 in the money at on the turf here at Gulfstream. So again, this is a wide open event, and you have to use several horses. Even the 11 Conquest Misbehave will get bet off of that sharp turf workout last time.
And the 12 who you use on your ticket, you have to pay attention. Angel Vision.
Coming out of a key race again behind Falimbi, and she gets Lasix for the first time. Obviously, Falimbi, she's multiple grade 1 place, so that was a very tough race that she comes out of.
So basically anybody can win it.
Button, right? All right, well, perhaps you can single in this final leg of the sequence. We'll move on to the 10th and final race, the maiden special weight, 5 furlongs on the turf. I love the fact that this filly does draw the rail post position, because I just, you know, if you get caught way on the outside at these 5 furlong turf sprints, sometimes that just can be a huge factor to have to deal with. The 12 Comica is one of them, but you and I both land on the 1 Love on Tides. Louis Saez, very good turf rider as well. Malcolm Pierce, very good turf trainer.
Yeah, listen to the stat I found on this horse. He's a strong, I'm talking about Malcolm Pierce, is 7 for 17, 41% with 2-year-old first-time starters on the turf. So he's almost 50%. He wins with them. He's on the inside for all the reasons that you mentioned. I think this horse is a logical choice. We were both tempted to single it, but there are other horses in this race that might jump up and win it.
Yeah, you like her breeding, too. She's by Stormy Atlantic. I have a Mr. Greeley mare, Strange Romance. She actually has produced multiple turf winners, too. So everything's a go there, but this is horse racing, and really anything can happen. So perhaps you have to back yourself up. I backed myself up with the 7, Thanks to Life. She has kind of the experience on the field. She does have at least 1 start to her name. When she debuted, it was against Maiden Special Weight Company, going 2 turns, and that's tricky. It is a tricky distance, 7.5 furlongs. Sometimes you think, okay, well, that's a sprint distance,
Right.
but it is two turns.
Yeah.
So now on the cutback, I think she should be able to maybe relax a bit more. And for George Navarro, I throw her in. You use the 3.
Yeah, I used the 3 in there, turning back to 5/8 on the turf. Returned from a 2-month freshening. Set the pace. Weekend finished 3rd. Was on the Churchill main track. Mike Maker, Javier Castellano. It's a daughter of Nico Bay.
And the 12 Comica, this is a horse who I was going to use. I just couldn't because of that post position.
I agree. Comes out of that key race. It just got to deal with that outside post. Ian Wilkes is Corey Lannery. Going to have to negotiate a trip from out there.
Okay, well, that's races 1 through 10. A very, very interesting and challenging card today, so best of luck if you're playing those wagers. Once again, we do have the Rolling Super I-5 and the early pick 5 in race 1, and the pick 6 starts in today's 5th race. Over $20,000 for that carryover. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back for race 1, but first, Larry Colmus will be up next with scratches and changes. Best of luck.